Right, so the Club World Cup is nearly upon us with our opening fixture coming on Monday. And on Sunday night, I will be in the studio with Josh Aveste. We will preview that game against LAFC. But yesterday, we had the official announcement of the 28 players that Enzo Maresca will be flying out to the United States as part of the Club World Cup. We also now know who will be being left at home. So in this video, I am going to give you guys my thoughts on all of that, whether I agree with the guys that have been left at Cobham or whether I disagree. I'm also going to rank every area of the field when it comes to goalkeepers, defenders, midfields and forwards in terms of how strong our squad is for this Club World Cup, and I am going to give you guys 3 players that I am going to be keeping a keen eye on in this tournament, hoping that they can do something big for us this coming season. But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, please hit the subscribe button. About half of you guys watching the videos at the moment aren't subscribed. It's one click of a button and it helps the channel out massively. It helps me bring you guys more videos like this. So please do that. Hit the like right now if you're excited for the Club World Cup. Let's get into it. Right, so let's start off with the squad that we are taking out there. 28 players selected out of a possible 35, by the way. Not 35 players that Chelsea have on their books. 35 is the number or the allowance that you're allowed to take to the Club World Cup, so we will speak about that. But starting with the goalkeepers, we've got Sanchez, Jorgensen, Penders and Slanina. I'll give that a 5 out of 10 because there's not a standout number 1 in there, is there? Obviously, Robert Sanchez, you know, he's probably going to be the one that plays the matches. I can understand that. But in terms of the teams that are ranked above us, or at least the odds are shorter for them to win this tournament, I would look at all of them and say that they've got better goalkeeping options, or at least a standout number 1. And I can't confidently say that Robert Sanchez is a match winner in the same way that Donnarumma is for PSG. I can't confidently say that if we go into a penalty shootout, I believe that Robert Sanchez can be the difference maker. I can't confidently say that a top-class striker is going to fear Robert Sanchez if they go through one-on-one on goal with him. So I don't want to throw too much shade on him, but as for the goalkeeper section in this one, especially with the admission of Georgi Petrovic, I believe that we are 5 out of 10. We're average here. Now, defenders, we have got Cucurella, Tosin Adarabioyo, Levi Colwell, Mamadou Sarr, Trevor Chalobah, Reece James, Malo Gusto, Anselmino, and Josh Achampong. I am going to give that a 6 because it's above average, but it's not exactly what we want. And let's speak about cover, for example, right? So, we've got Cucurella there. Now, where's the cover for Cucurella? If he was injured, if he gets a red card, something like that, we literally have no cover for him. I know you could say that Gusto can go over there, but it's not his preferred position, and I don't think it's his best position at all. I don't think his best position comes in an Enzo Maresca system. We tried Reece James there, away at Old Trafford against Man United. Didn't really work. And then you look at the likes of a Benoit Badiashile, for example, who's being taken out there. He's a left footer, right? So you might go for a more robust option there, and maybe then you would invert the other side in terms of the right back in Reece James. However, I'm not sure. Benoit Badiashile, very, very hit and miss. If we do come up against one of the powerhouses in the knockout rounds, am I going to be as confident with a Benoit Badiashile as I would be with a Cucurella? No, I'm obviously not. So straight away, we don't have as much cover for the left back position there as I would want it to be. And obviously you could speak about Levi Colwell. He's left-footed, but Levi Colwell is a man that massively stepped up last season, and I think that outside of the Chelsea fan base, people don't really understand how well Levi Colwell ended up doing last season. He became vocal, he became a leader, an organiser, and he contributed in the most key moments for us, and he did that playing more centrally. So Although we had seen him out on that left-hand side under Pochettino, I'm starting to think that that is a thing of the past. Now, I'm really happy to see Trevor Chalobah included in that squad. We've heard reports that he might be for sale, we might be leaving, whatever, but we hear those reports every fucking summer, don't we? And this is an indication to me that he may well be staying. So I'm really, really happy with that one. Obviously, Joshua Changpong, we know how good he is, but we've not seen Anselmino. We've obviously not seen Mamadou Sarr, and they are two players that, you know, look, if they look fantastic in this tournament and get game time, maybe that notches that back line up from a 6 to a 7. But for the time being, it is a 7. And now, let's look at what is undeniably the strongest area of the field. It is the midfield. There, we've got Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Asugu, Santos, Dewsbury Hall, and Romeo Lavia. That's a number 9, isn't it? Really. You can't get much better than that, can you? Especially now when you look at football and midfielders are just classed as central midfielders. Everything else is a forward. There's no right mids and left mids anymore, you know what I mean? There's right wingers, left wingers. So when we're looking at them, we've got two world-class operators right now in Caicedo and Enzo. We've got two potential world-class operators in Romeo Lavia and Andrey Santos. And we're chucking in Dewsbury Hall for good measure. And as well, we have got Asugu, who we are going to speak about later on. So wait, because we will speak about Asugu. Now, the forward line, we have got Liam Delap, Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, Noni Madueke, Nicolas Jackson, Tyrick George, Mark Yu, and Christopher Nkunku. I'm going to give that a 6, right? And that might seem harsh, but I'm going to tell you lot why. Earlier on in the season, I made this claim that if Mark Yu had made 37 Premier League appearances for Ipswich, he would have probably got 12 goals, which is what Liam Delap ended up with. And now I'm really, really hoping that I eat my words by saying that and end up looking like the biggest bellend in Chelsea YouTube. I really, really hope. There's no one that hopes more than me that they look like an idiot when they say anything negative about a Chelsea player, because I love Chelsea and I want everyone to do really well. But with Liam Delap, I think the jury is still out somewhat. I do think it is still out somewhat. I know he's a young player. I know he came through the Man City Academy. He knows Cole Palmer. He knows a lot of the boys and he knows a lot of the coaching staff. But with Liam Delap, there have been players around that age that have gone down from the Premier League to the Championship that have put up impressive goal outputs, and we haven't been as excited about them. Now, clearly, there are footballing minds more intelligent than mine that are very excited about Liam Delap. So here is my hope with Liam Delap. That is that we see him delivering in the bigger games if we get to those knockout stages. We'll speak about that in a minute. But in Nicolas Jackson, we do have backup for him, which is good. In Mark Yu, we have backup for him, which is good. So when it comes to the number 9, we're literally covered. But in terms of forwards, I do think we could be a little bit stronger on the wings. That's a bit of a worry for me, because if we are to assume that Palmer plays the number 10, which he did for pretty much the whole season under Enzo Maresca, then where's the backup for him? Where's the backup for him? Because I don't want to see Nkunku playing. I want him off. I don't think Nkunku's any good. And I don't think his attitude's very good for the team. And undeniably, he might play and he might look good as he did last pre-season. But I just think that's plastering over the cracks and they will reappear when he doesn't get the game time that he wants to this season. Because in this system of Enzo Maresca's, Nkunku doesn't really get a look in unless it's coming off the bench. And here's where I come back to the whole 28-man squad instead of 35, which we were allowed, right? Carney Chukwuemeka. I know we don't know what's going on with him at the moment, but in terms of a backup to Palmer, I would have rather had Carney Chukwuemeka out there. Kendry Pires. I mean, everyone's saying, oh, he's going Strasbourg and he needs to link up with them for pre-season, but little Club World Cup, like, he's still going to be back in France in time for pre-season, or at least a few pre-season games with Strasbourg. I would have loved to have seen a bit of Kendry Pires in there this Club World Cup. So, yeah, I don't know. In terms of natural wingers, we only actually have 3 don't we? And in terms of a natural left winger, we only have Tyreek George. I know Pedro Neto can go over there. I think he's better on the right. I know Madueke can go over there, and he's actually looked quite good, but we know that Madueke, in the nicest possible way, is a selfish player, and he wants to be on the right because he wants to cut inside and shoot on that left foot. And as much as you can say to me, well, Malo Gusto can double up as a winger, he definitely can, but not a left winger. He can double up as a right winger. So again, we're a little bit short on that left wing. And then that brings us on to the players that we've left at home. João Felix, straight away, I'd rather have him in there over Nkunku. Petrovic, if I speak, I'm in trouble. Watch yesterday's video. Axel Disasi, fair enough. Ben Chilwell, fair enough. Raheem Sterling, we might speak about Sterling. Kendrick Paez, you know my thoughts on that. Renato Vega, if you watched my video yesterday, you know my thoughts on that. I do think he should have been going out there. I don't know why he's not. We're being linked with a player whose name escapes my mind at the minute, but it's a left-footed centre-back, and it seems like experience-wise, he's got about the same as Renato Vega, so it's another weird one. Like, what? We're going to ship Renato Vega out, get this guy in. He probably gets the same treatment as Renato Vega and whatnot. But I understand that a lot of you guys aren't high on Renato Vega because he had half a season, didn't do all that much, thought he was a superstar and thought he was too good to be on the bench. Fofana's left at home, he's coming back from injury. And then pretty much everyone else who was out on loan, like the likes of Ugachukwu, obviously Kani Chukwemeka, Amanda Broha, who else we got? Alfie Gilchrist, he was out on loan. Caleb Wiley, that's an interesting one. Probably loads more that I'm forgetting. All the rest of them boys are staying at home. So what I'm going to give you, right, is 3 players that I am taking a keen interest in watching during this Club World Cup. But before I do that, I do want to ask you lot the question, and I want the answer in the comments section below. Why are we only taking 28 players when we are allowed to take 35? Is this a Jim Radcliffe-esque stunt where he's trying to save on plane and hotel fares? Or is there something more going on here in terms of transfer business that we don't know about? I'm going to piss one or two of you off here, right? But besides players like Vega, Paez, Petrovic, who you already know I would have taken Raheem Sterling. I'd have taken him. Because despite reports, especially from earlier on in his career and whatnot, by all accounts, Sterling isn't a bad player in the dressing room. Sterling doesn't kick up all that much of a fuss. And we're paying Sterling 325 grand a week. So if we're paying him that, I at least want him there for training drills, let alone for a few minutes off the bench here and there. And if you have got an asset for sale, right, and, you know, the interest in that asset isn't sky high at the moment, you've at least got to put it in the shop window. You've at least got to do that. Now, by the way, last time we were in America, Sterling looked great. He was probably our best player in pre-season, alongside maybe Nkunku. Look how both of their seasons turned out. What does that say about pre-season? But this is the Club World Cup, and teams are taking this way more seriously. I'm not expecting 10 substitutions at half-time like we would see in normal pre-season games. There is a treasure chest for winning this trophy. So, I think that it will be more important to teams and we'll get a better indication. And therefore, if Sterling was to even start matches for us, if he was to come on and have good cameos, we might have potential bidders for him. Bearing in mind also, this is in America, and America is one of the likely destinations for Raheem Sterling, because there's no guarantee a Saudi club comes in for him, and I don't think any other Premier League club is going to look at Raheem Sterling on the wages he's on and be wanting to take him on. So, yeah, that's another one. Now, Caleb Wiley, I mentioned there, right? Caleb Wiley might not have the experience that, you know, we would need, and I don't think he levels us up. But at the same time, in terms of a backup for Cucurella, Caleb Wiley as a left-back, we could use him. He could learn a lot on the training ground off Cucurella. It could potentially help him become a player that maybe, you know, is a backup to Cucurella this coming season, and we don't have to go out and sign another left-back, something like that. Or he could go out on loan as he did last season at, I think, Strasbourg and then Watford, and maybe learning off Cucurella, learning off all of the senior players there would help him out. And not only that, little bit of romanticism here. We are playing in Atlanta, which was his birthplace. So maybe that might spur him on for some big performances. But again, I'm not that bothered. I like Ugachukwu, but I think our midfield's stacked, and I don't think he'd get anywhere near it. And yeah, if anyone wants my thoughts on Petrovic being left at home, just watch yesterday's videos. But anyway, let's speak about these three lads that I am really looking forward to. And by the way, there's a lot more than three, but I just want to speak about the three. And I'll start off with the most obvious one, and that is Liam Delap. Now, I expect Chelsea to win our group. I expect Liam Delap, if he's starting in the number 9, to score at least 2 or 3 goals in the group stages. But then the overall standard of the competition will increase, okay? And we know that the winner of our group, which I think is going to be us, will face the runner-up of Group C. Now, that could be Boca Juniors, right? They're, I think, in the middle of their season at the minute, second in the table, good side, but I feel like it's more likely to be Benfica. However, it could also be Bayern Munich, right? I think there's a 90% chance it's one of Benfica or Bayern Munich. And if it is one of Benfica or Bayern Munich, then we're going to get some answers, aren't we? I'm not saying we're going to get all the answers as to the potential of how Liam Delap does as a Chelsea player over the duration of his contract, the next, God knows however many years, 5, 6, 7, whatever he signed, I don't know now. But we are going to get an indication of just how much of a handful he can be against these bigger sides. Just how much of a threat, and if he's able to get on the score sheet against bigger teams. Because in the knockout rounds, if he gets on the score sheet against a Benfica, against a Bayern Munich, then we know that he could perform at a higher level than we've seen him play at so far. And I know now I'm really looking into the future, but if we get through the first knockout round, we could be playing one of the likes of Atletico Madrid, PSG or Porto. So again, more high-level competition. So if Liam Delap can go out there, bag 3 or 4 goals in the group, and then more importantly, score against some of the bigger sides, then instantly, right, we've got our number 9 for the season, and there is no him and Jackson battling it out. He can secure the number 9 spot just in this Club World Cup, and we can be really excited about him if he goes out there and puts on a great performance for Chelsea in this Club World Cup. And that moves me on to the second player that I'm looking forward to seeing, and that is Nicolas Jackson. Now, there's 2 things that could happen here, isn't there? Jackson and Liam Delap could share the minutes, right? And in doing so, Jackson could show that he's a cut above Liam Delap. That is a distinct possibility. I genuinely do think that that could happen, because Jackson is a way more developed all-round footballer at this moment in time than Liam Delap, and I don't think that's controversial to say. Is he better as a number 9? Is he better as a goal scorer? Is he more clinical? I don't know. But as an all-round footballer, I think he's shown already that he's more developed, is the word, developed at this moment in time than Liam Delap. But I've got this little theory here that Enzo Maresca may have not opted to take the likes of Raheem Sterling, who, you know, natural left winger, and other players that could play out wide like a João Felix, because he plans on trying out Nicolas Jackson at left wing, which was his former position for Villarreal before he became a number 9. Nicolas Jackson is a man whose main attributes don't fall in line with the main attributes of a number 9 that's going to get you 20, 25 goals a season, right? They fall more in line with someone along that front line, okay? He is great at retaining the ball, taking it on the turn. 9 out of 10 times he will beat a man, and Nicolas Jackson is a player that we already know can score goals, so he can add goals from wide positions. If you look at a lot of his runs, they have come from wide positions. I think that Nicolas Jackson is a left winger waiting to happen. Come back to this video. I honestly do think that. And I think that with Tyrick George, he's brilliant, but he's inexperienced, especially at this level. Mudryk serving the suspension. We might still go and get Gittins, but we might not. So who knows? We could see Nicolas Jackson there. And if Nicolas Jackson does really, really well, then maybe we save the money on a Gittins and we go and spend big in another area where we need it even more. Who knows? At this moment in time, the jury is still out. But I do genuinely think that there's a possibility that Enzo Maresca experiments with having Liam Delap and Nicolas Jackson in the same team. I would love to see it, but at the same time, I really want to win this tournament. So experimenting isn't something that I'm going to be screaming from the rooftops about. But if we've already qualified by the second game, or the end of the second game, then yeah, let's experiment a little bit in that third game. Chuck him in there, see what happens. And the final man I'm going to talk about in this tournament is Andrey Santos. Because when you look at our midfield four for this coming season, right? Enzo, Caicedo, Santos, and Lavia. Obviously, I know we've got the likes of Keenan Dewsbury Hall, Ugachukwu, different players, but in those four, I don't think you can deny that that is one of the most exciting young midfields in world football. But what we need to do is we need to see Andrey Santos do it for Chelsea. He's had little cameo moments where he's looked good. They've been in more non-competitive matches. Obviously, he came on against, I think it was Liverpool on the opening day of not this season, just gone the season before, and he actually looked good. But he went to Nottingham Forest, never got a game. He went to Strasbourg, and he was literally one of the best players in Ligue 1 last season. And obviously, at times this season, there's been so much pressure on Enzo and Caicedo to perform and to play constantly because of the fact that Romeo Lavia has been injured. Now, if Romeo Lavia is injured, then Andrey Santos would be a brilliant backup. And there's a reason why the likes of Bayern Munich and other clubs are in for this man, because this kid has smashed the life out of it in Ligue 1 last season. And yeah, I think that if he goes out in this Club World Cup and looks phenomenal for Chelsea, and really, really solid, then this could be another player that we see coming in, flourishing next season, and just showing once again that actually, despite all the pundits having the knives out, this recruitment hasn't been all that bad at times, right? And remember, with the likes of like Esteval coming in, Delap's in now, obviously possibly Gittins and more, who knows? Enzo Maresca might change the system. He might move Cole Palmer back out to the right wing. He might push Enzo Fernandez, who's now getting amongst the goals and assists, a little bit forward, and that might free up another midfield position where a Romeo Lavia and an Andrey Santos could be battling it out. At this moment in time, it's all up in the air, but I really do think that this Club World Cup is going to give us such a better indication of what's to come next season than your average pre-season does, because this Club World Cup matters. I'm telling you, this one matters. I'd be buzzing to win it. I would be more happy to win the Club World Cup this season than I would be to win the Community Shield. I mean, we're not in the Community Shield, but I'd be more happy to win it. Do you know what I mean? I might go out on a whim here and say I'll be more happy to win it than I would to win the League Cup. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, maybe. I think I would be. I'm not sure. I think I would be. Now, a few quick honourable mentions. Honourable mentions go to Mamadou Sarr, who's just had a really good season at Strasbourg in defence. He's still young, could be one for the futures. Mike Penders. If we do go through with a game to spare, I want to see Mike Penders starting in goal, because we hear so much about him, but we've never really seen him. And although it's the area that we are most stacked in, Asugu could come in and be a player, because this young man looks like an absolute workhorse. He loves to get about, likes to get stuck right in there, a la Moises Caicedo. And in what I've seen from him, which is just clips, haven't been watching full 90s, I'll admit that, but he does look like he's got maturity beyond his years. So Asugu's another one that we should watch out for. He could be good in this one. But I want you lot to let me know your thoughts. Who are you excited to see in this Club World Cup? I know that the transfer window is going to open back up and we're going to have loads of transfer news to talk about, but for the moment, we've got the squads. We know who's going, we know who's staying at home. Who are you excited to see, and who do you think will be the star for Chelsea in this Club World Cup? And I don't want the obvious answer like Caicedo or Cole Palmer. I want a bit of an underdog story here. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next one.